Good afternoon. Welcome, Your Honors, Grand Council members, chiefs, award winners, family members, and our many invited guests. Welcome. My name is Catherine Blewett, Deputy Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, and welcome to today's Treaty Day celebrations and the awards ceremony. It's my distinct pleasure to have the opportunity to MC for this afternoon. I will now call upon His Honour, the Honourable J.J. Grant, Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, to provide remarks. Your Honour.
Grand Chief Syliboy, Grand Captain Denny, Grand Council members, councillors, elders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends. As the Queen's representative in Nova Scotia, I am honoured today to join you in celebrating Treaty Day. Earlier this morning, Mrs. Grant and I were pleased to welcome many of you to Government House, where Grand Captain Denny and I raised the Mi'kmaq national flag to commemorate the special relationship between the Crown and the Mi'kmaq Nation and people. The flag will be flown for the entirety of Mi'kmaq History Month at Government House, the ceremonial home of all Nova Scotians, in recognition of the central role played by the Mi'kmaq people in the history and the development of our province. Mrs. Grant and I are also looking forward to welcoming internationally renowned singing and drumming group Eastern Eagle to Government House next week as part of a new public event series at Government House designed to celebrate civic and cultural excellence in our province. I sincerely hope that along with that the many other festivities planned for Mi'kmaq History Month by a range of communities will also be well attended and successful. The spirit of this day, and the one we should all take forward throughout Mi'kmaq History Month, is one of celebrating peaceful and harmonious relations between neighbors. Unquestionably, is a spirit we must keep alive in each and every day of the year. It's important to recognize such observances and to draw attention to the occasion so that all Nova Scotians may reflect upon its significance. It's also important to acknowledge the outstanding contributions people of all ages make to their communities and to our province as a whole, so that we may express our thanks and to affirm our shared vision of a peaceful and prosperous future. On behalf of the Crown and all Nova Scotians, I extend my sincere congratulations to all of the award recipients that we'll see shortly, and I thank you all for inviting Mrs. Grant and I to share in today's events. Thank you. We'll lay off.
Thank you very much, Your Honour. I would now like to call upon Dougal MacDonald, Acting Regional Director General, Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development Canada, to provide remarks. Dougal?
Thank you, Catherine. Elders, Grand Chief Syliboy, Grand Captain Denny, Chiefs, Your Honour Lieutenant Governor Grant, councillors, community members, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time that I've had the honour of taking part in this capacity for this portion of the Mi'kmaq Treaty Day celebrations. I'm delighted to be here today representing Aboriginal Affairs in Northern Development Canada for this important and historic event. Treaty Day marks the signing of important accords of peace and friendship, sacred agreements founded on the principles of trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. More than 2 centuries ago, these historic treaties established a partnership between the Mi'kmaq and the Crown. Treaty Day celebrations also reflect our determination to preserve Mi'kmaq culture, heritage, and recognize the many contributions the Mi'kmaq have made to Nova Scotia over the centuries. And in keeping with the theme of celebrating Mi'kmaq culture, today also marks the 20th anniversary of the celebration of Mi'kmaq History Month in Nova Scotia. There are a number of events taking place throughout Nova Scotia this month, and I would encourage you to participate in them and learn more about the culture, history, language, and significant contributions of the Mi'kmaq. And if you'd like more information, you can visit Mi'kmaqHistoryMonth.com on a website near you. As we gather to celebrate today, let's all remember these treaties of peace and friendship and what we have accomplished together. Let's continue our good work together and collectively look to the future to find ways to continue to improve the lives of First Nation people in Nova Scotia and across Canada. Thank you for this opportunity to participate in this wonderful event today. Well, Alan, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dougal. It's now my pleasure to call upon Chief Gerard Julian, co-chair of the Assembly of Mi'kmaq Chiefs, for his remarks. Chief Julian.
In television, Gerard Julian, Sama Bakanke. Good afternoon. My name is Gerard Julian, and I'm the Chief of Bakanke. Chief Debbie gave me some lessons on speaking earlier. And she said, when I'm speaking, make sure you put your hands out this way and you look this way. So I'm going to try my best at emulating Chief Deborah Robbins. Anyways, good afternoon. On behalf of the Assembly of Mi'kmaq Chiefs, I'd like to welcome you to our Mi'kmaq Treaty Day celebrations. We are honored to welcome Grand Chief Ben Syllaboy and Keji Captain Andrew Denny of the Mi'kmaq Grand Council, as well as fellow Mi'kmaq Chiefs, Council members, elders, and community members. I would like to all to take a moment to especially recognize and welcome Brigadier General the Honourable J.J. Grant, Deputy Minister Catherine Blewett, and all fellow Nova Scotians. Today we celebrate our unique and special relationship with the federal and provincial governments. Our nation-to-nation relationship amplifies a shared commitment to the future and prosperity of our communities. The spirit and the intent of our treaties and our treaty relationship is one of cooperation, reconciliation, and mutual respect. Our treaties operate through a framework of peace and friendship. Over the years, a number of court cases have recognized our Aboriginal and treaty rights. With these successes came the need for further discussions on how we can implement our treaty rights. Throughout the past year, we have heard from many of our community members who stand strong and firmly believe in the power of our treaties. We are proud to say that our treaties have been recognized and affirmed by the highest laws and courts in this country. Our treaty rights have created a Mi'kmaq legacy and have established a connection to the generations who have come before us. Treaty Day is a perfect opportunity for the Assembly to reiterate that protecting our treaties and implementing our rights will always be a priority for us, the Mi'kmaq Nation. Our treaties continue to be the foundation for discussions and consultation with Nova Scotia and Canada. As our relationship and trust with each other and the government proceeds to grow, the Assembly continues to be able to move forward with very important discussions, always with the best interest of the Mi'kmaq in mind. Treaties are about acknowledging our relationship, past, present, and the future. Our ancestors, representing both Mi'kmaq and the Crown, saw the need for us to come together on behalf of our respective communities. On this day, we come together to not only celebrate our success, but also remember those who brought us here, brought us to where we are. These legacies continue through the outstanding individuals being recognized here today. To our elders, you are the keepers of our culture, values, and traditions. It is you who keeps our history alive. It is you who provides the foundation upon which we continue to build our nation. Thank you for your contribution, and we honor you. Congratulations to our youth recipients. We celebrate your achievements. It is your passion and innovation that inspires our nation. You give us hope for the future. We encourage you to always be passionate in what you believe in. Together we are building a proud Mi'kmaq nation. As we move forward, we must come together unified in our values. We must reflect back on our friendship we established centuries ago and know that right here, right now, we will begin to establish a better day for all of Nova Scotia. Well, Alio, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Julian. You've set a high bar. I now would like to call upon Mi'kmaq Grand Council Captain Andale Dene for his remarks.
Walalin, walalioch. Gludelim pasga am sudwan dan nejual dai mei modioch. Di sakamau, kisagug, msud gepna, sakamach. Lieutenant Governor, Deputy Minister, Hamsid, Dougal, Hamsid, Danesport, Tijik, Ejidaji Gisku, Kadu, Mubas Negmok, Hamsid Ginu, Ejidak, Mawidak, Mawabok and Model Dig. I just want to say thank you for being here. I want to make sure that everybody is welcome. I have to make sure that we tell everybody that we are here for a reason. When you look at all levels of government and all the people from the RCMP, the Special Forces, our people, our youth, there's a reason why we gather here, to celebrate Treaty Day. And I thank each and every one of you for sticking around. An old Mi'kmaq saying, and I guess it's not much of a saying, but if you look around, when dinner is served and you're finished, you're gone. You don't wait around. That's evident. But once again, we celebrate Treaty Day. Another year has passed. What a year it has been. In my time as Grand Captain, I have never seen so much discussion, debate, awareness, and altogether a greater focus on Mi'kmaq rights. There has been an increased interest in our traditional governing methods, and many who are seeking understanding of what we are doing as Mi'kmaq to implement these rights. The awareness is in part due to the National Idle No More movement, which is gathering information and advocating for treaty implementation. At this latter goal, the Idle No More movement has been successful, because through their efforts, the treaty nations had a meeting with Prime Minister for treaty implementation. Chief Terry Powell and Chief Deborah Robinson presented the Grand Council's message to the Crown and to the Prime Minister, and they did this very admirably. So through the past year, we saw a national shift among Mi'kmaq towards action as opposed to discussion. We have also heard loud and clear from our people, especially the youth, that the status quo, or the way things are, just isn't good enough. The Mi'kmaq Grand Council is proud of the united efforts at creating awareness and creating a movement for change. For years, we have said that poverty is not and cannot be the future for our people. We are tired of the delays, tired of colonial oppression, racism, and the patriarchy of the government, telling us what we will get or what their limited mandate is, rather than what the treaties demand. Many times over the past year, Geptons and I have been asked to take a greater role in this movement. Many of our Geptons and the Grand Chief and myself, representing our communities in Mi'kma'ki, have had several prolonged discussions on how we can continue our role of protecting the nation, for the future generations and preserving unity of our children. One of the main roles of the Grand Council is to preserve our governing structures developed by Aboriginal rights and affirmed by the treaty-making process. Despite the many decades of government denying our Aboriginal and treaty rights, they continue to exist. The Grand Council continues to exist. In 1929, the court told Grand Chief Gabriel Sliboy that our government, our treaties, and our way of subsistence were not legitimate. Despite these lies, we are still here as Mi'kmaq people, and our Grand Council still continues today. We continue to protect the Mi'kmaq Nation from all those who would attempt to colonize and destroy what we hold so dear. As a Grand Council, we have stood firm in our principle. Wajigasin, Maulabudimk, Ilamadimk. We will not be taken in by corporate funding cuts, deliverables, or timelines that are created to fit other short-term ideas of how Mi'kmaq should function. The Mi'kmaq Grand Council will not change who we are to fit into what you understand. Throughout the generations, we have petitioned governments, we have sought international remedies, and we have fought in court. We have worked with other nations, and we will continue to generate an honorable future for our people. We support all efforts that are based on unity, respect, and all other Mi'kmaq values. However, we will always act in accordance with our ancestors' example, as set out in the Peace and Friendship Treaties. Peace, friendship, these are not just ideals. They are a basis for our belief system. When we entered into diplomatic negotiations to preserve our Mi'kmaq way of life in 1752, our ancestors decided that working towards peace was better than war. Our ancestors believed that in harmony and coexisting with our allies and enemies alike. So while we encourage efforts and action to create more understanding and awareness for increased treaty implementation, it is fundamental that we never forget and continue to respect the peace and harmony that our ancestors believed in and negotiated for. The treaties demand and Mi'kmaq expect our partners recognize that this is not a one-way street. However, Nova Scotians and other provincial citizens and other citizens in Mi'kma'ki are part of the peace and friendship process, and they have a role to play as well. They must know how they have benefited from this peace and friendship. This government received its powers by the treaties and our mutual consent. This is a constitutional history that is important for everyone to acknowledge. We can achieve the goals of treaty relationship when we work together. We are capable of so much more when we work together based on our hearts as human beings. Humanity is always stronger when we show each other respect and humility. The Marshall Decision of 1999 stated that negotiation was preferred approach to that of costly litigation. We agree. However, we continue to wait for good faith negotiations. Recently, we have been told by the federal government that they have stated that they have a mandate to discuss a commercial fishery or a moderate livelihood fishery. I commend the efforts of our Mi'kmaq leadership for their patience and their determination. But again, I ask the government, what took you so long? It has been 14 years since the Supreme Court said that these rights existed. I recall in 1999, when the Mi'kmaq Grand Council asked that our leadership not be divided by ban agreements, and that we work together under the linked treaties to benefit all. Today I stand here and I ask the same question. I ask that the leaders continue to work with our people to create consensus. Let us not be divided by short-term profits and short-term economic gains. Mau gamk milgignadisn. Nasko gaik siyoyadisn. Anchanestu monagmoy dantul nu wisul di na dandal sidmu ginu sidkhamu. Udanat la jiyo dal sidk. As part of the Treaty Day, today Mi'kmaq are celebrating Mi'kmaq History Month. I cannot overstate how important continued Mi'kmaq education is as part of the curriculum for our schools. We are beginning to see the results of our takeover of our education for our young Mi'kmaq students. For example, the immersion program that began in Niskis is showing in research its positive long-term results, thanks to the good research work of educators and researchers. This is a wonderful achievement, a monument to our heritage and our language and our future. My own children and relatives have benefited from this work, and I am very proud of their work, their research, and the global significance of research in Mi'kmaq immersion. We need the larger public awareness of the Mi'kmaq and our unique role as the first people in the Atlantic, or Mi'kmaqi as we know it, and that the fact that we are still here. We need our history to be written from our perspective, as well from other perspectives. As I conclude my talk today, I realize that we are not at the provincial house because of the elections. I looked around the room and hoped that the members of the various parties running in the provincial election have come in a true spirit of treaty implementation, restoration, and celebration of our relations as embedded in our Mi'kmaq treaties. It is important that all parties are aware of the Mi'kmaq, who we are, what we stand for, and our rights within this unceded territory, and that you call the Maritimes or the Atlantic. I am glad to see increased involvement and even the possibility of a Mi'kmaq MLA in Nova Scotia. This only shows how far we have come, but yes, we still have far to go. We as Mi'kmaq have a unique role in Nova Scotia, as we have never ceded our original lands, our resources, or even our ways of governing in any of our treaties. We must remind people that the cases of Simon and Marshall did not give us rights. Rather, it stated that these rights have always existed. We all saw and remember the panic created by the Marshall decision, when the court stated that we had these rights that scared so much of the fishing communities that had shunned us in the past. We need the courts, the lawyers, the politicians, and the political candidates to make it clear that the future of Nova Scotia and Mi'kmaqi must take into account Mi'kmaq rights and Mi'kmaq consultations. Recently, a decision by the provincial court in Francis Paul, the night hunting case, is just one example of how the courts will twist the law to preserve the status quo. We expect more from our provincial courts. Delaying the inevitable that we have always had these rights gets us nowhere. So we ask that you teach your children and ask that your political parties have a plan for the Mi'kmaq, developed with the Mi'kmaq. We need the leaders and the parties to recognize that there will come a day when your best laid plans for economic success in Nova Scotia or Mi'kmaq territory will have to take into account the rights and responsibilities of all Mi'kmaq. We will not sell our rights. We will not negotiate any settlement that allows corporations to destroy our beautiful territory and waters. And we will always fight to ensure economic gains do not come at the expense of the environment for the next 7 generations. So to the province and potential leaders of tomorrow, be prepared, begin creating plans that involve us as Mi'kmaq. We are here for the long journey, and we are prepared to walk with you along the way. But know that fulfillment of our rights and responsibilities will be our primary goal. Before I conclude, I would like to congratulate all those receiving their awards today. I would like to applaud the efforts of both elders, Becky Julian, a very noted and honorable woman whose craft making abilities just, and there she is walking now. I have to, I'm just so thrilled. It always takes me back to my grandmother and the work that she did. So congratulations, Becky. And also to my uncle, Joe B. Marshall. Joe B. has done so much over the years for the Mi'kmaq, and he continues to be an example of someone who has educated himself in both worlds and spent so much time working for the Mi'kmaq people. And today I thank his family for sharing him with us, and the Mi'kmaq Nation. He has sacrificed so much time he could have spent with them in pursuit of treaty recognition as a professor, a mentor, leader, negotiator, all for Mi'kmaq rights. And for that I say, well, Joe. To all of you, who continue to come to Treaty Day, I say thank you for your sacrifices, your pride, your joy, and your care for the relationship now and for the future. So enjoy your day and safe travels home. But make sure, all of us here, take this message home to not only our relations, but to our allies. I always stress the fact that when we speak on Treaty Day, when I speak to government representatives, whether it's provincial or federal, I always say, you're our ally. Peace, friendship. Those are very easy words. If you look at your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your co-worker, you'll remember peace, friendship. Two very easy words, and that's all we want to be to you. So I ask, there's going to come a time when you have to stop being scared of us. And when you stop being scared of us, we will all be able to make a good economic livelihood for all in the Atlantic and Mi'kmaq territory. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Grand Captain. It's now a pleasure to actually start the awards presentation component of the event by introducing the winners of the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Elder Achievement Awards. Since 1993, the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Elder Awards have been presented to an individual or individuals nominated by the community for their contribution to their communities over their lifetime. The recipients are chosen from the nominees by the Treaty Day Committee. Today, we have a real honor to recognize two people who have brought a lifetime of service to their communities. Today's first recipient is Becky Julian of Indian Brook. Miss Julian was born in Indian Brook and together with her husband of more than 50 years raised 10 children, 15 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. A residential school survivor, she's a well-known elder and is respected within her community and within Mi'kma'ki. Miss Julian is an avid craftsperson, as the Grand Captain referenced, creating one-of-a-kind pieces, including regalia, other cultural pieces, and I understand she continues to receive orders from across the Maritimes. She's learned her special skills from her elders, which include basket making, quill work, leather work, beading, and sewing. Incredible talent. She's a fluent Mi'kmaq speaker and has taught Mi'kmaq language and culture for over 30 years. She received certification from the International Language Institute in 1984 and continues teaching today. Miss Julian is well known for her love of the Mi'kmaq language and cultural teachings, knowledge that she has generously shared with children, youth, parents, and elders over the years. I would now like to ask His Honor and Arlene Gugu to come forward to present the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Memorial Elder Award to Becky Julian. So the second recipient of the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Memorial Elder Awards, as the Grand Captain tipped his hat to, is Joe B. Marshall of Eskasoni. You gotta wait, I have to talk about you a little bit first. I need to brag a little bit, just hang on. So Mr. Marshall is an advocate of Mi'kmaq rights, a veteran, a patient teacher, and a catalyst for change. Known affectionately as Joe B., he is a well-respected role model and leader. As a child, he attended residential school, and those years impressed upon him the importance of maintaining Mi'kmaq language, culture, and traditions. He graduated with a diploma in community development from the Cody Institute at St. Francis Xavier University and holds a Bachelor of Laws from Dalhousie University Schulich School of Law. He has used his education as an instrument to advance the rights of Mi'kmaq people and the betterment of Mi'kmaq lives. He is a founder of both the Union of Nova Scotia Indians and the Mi'kmaq College Institute at Cape Breton University. In addition to educating in the classroom, he's worked at the grassroots level to promote Mi'kmaq rights and social justice, and has been an advisor in important court cases and negotiations, including constitutional discussions. In 2011, his impact on the province was recognized when he was awarded the Order of Nova Scotia. Mr. Marshall is a well-known role model outside all of his professional work, and is a role model for his family, including the 4 children that he raised with his late wife of over 50 years. I now invite Joe B. Marshall to come forward and receive his award. Your Honor, Arlene. I've just been told he's not gonna take any more arguments about being called an elder, because now he has a document to prove it. Congratulations to both our award winners. We're just letting them take some pictures for a second. Yeah, you take your time. That's great. Thanks, Adam. So to move on to our next award, since 1997, the Chief Noel Doucette Youth Memorial Award has been presented to individuals nominated for their educational achievements as well as their contributions to their communities. I would now ask His Honour and Ms. Jean Doucette to present the awards. Our first recipient is Colby Blair of Acadia First Nation. I see the Chief going, yes. So Ms. Blair is an active member of her community and excels academically. This spring, she graduated from high school with the highest standing in both political science and comparative world religions. Her achievements in schools were recognized with a certificate in academic excellence and an entrance scholarship to Mount St. Vincent University. As an employee of the Community Youth Centre, Ms. Blair dedicated her after-school hours to working with youth in the community. She participated in a peer educator workshop where she received knowledge and training on educating her peers about health and wellness. She also attended an autism workshop to help her better assist and understand autistic youth who participate in youth programming. She enjoys learning about and experiencing Mi'kmaq culture, including nature activities such as the annual Fall Youth Moose Hunt. Colby Blair, please come forward and accept your award.
Congratulations again. You're really being for posterity.
The second recipient of the Chief Noel Doucette Memorial Achievement Award is Delia Farrell of Wakaba. Ms. Farrell is a driven, articulate, and positive role model within her community and among her peers. Among her academic achievements are her inclusion on the honor roll in grade 10 and 11, as well as her participation in debate teams' provincial competitions. She has taken a leadership role in encouraging and motivating youth in her community and is active in promoting health and wellness. She's a gold medal winner from the 2013 Mi'kmaq Summer Games and was among the top 35 candidates of the Black Bear Aboriginal Pre-Military Program. She also organized and fundraised to cover the cost of a youth event promoting the prevention of drug and alcohol abuse. In 2012, Ms. Farrell was one of only 125 youth selected from across the country to participate in the Forum for Young Canadians in Ottawa. This fall, she entered grade 12 at Riverview High School and created an event celebrating Mi'kmaq history and culture for her fellow students, featuring speakers, drumming, dancing, and chanting. Delia, please come up and accept your award. So last year, a new scholarship was introduced to acknowledge the significant contributions of Sister Dorothy Moore. The Sister Dorothy Moore Scholarship was established to honor and recognize Sister Moore's invaluable contribution to the advancement of the Mi'kmaq education system. This scholarship celebrates and supports Mi'kmaq students studying full-time in a recognized teacher certification education program. The award is available to high school and mature students. Our first recipient of the Sister Dorothy Moore Award is Ashley R. Julian of Indian Brook. So Ms. Julian is a second-year Bachelor of Education student at St. Francis Xavier University. She believes that teaching is inspiring and that great teachers are individuals who are willing to travel the path of personal growth and continuing education. She's been involved in many sporting events and has played for the Dalhousie Women's Tiger hockey team. She's been a player and a coach for Team Atlantic and has assisted in their preparations for the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships. Ms. Julian devotes herself to working toward implementing a hockey program that will foster a female Mi'kmaq Maliseet hockey team with a community holistic approach. Ashley Julian, please come forward, and I'll ask Sister Dorothy Moore and His Honor to present the awards. The second recipient for the Sister Dorothy Moore Scholarship is Louisa Martin of Millbrook. Miss Martin is a second-year Bachelor of Education student at St. Francis Xavier University. Her plan is to become a Mi'kmaq teacher, role model, and mentor for other Mi'kmaq students. Miss Martin feels fortunate to have been raised by all of her family, including her aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and godparents. She believes that education is the tool to empower a community. And you've heard a lot here today who would agree with that. Louisa Martin, please come forward. And again, we'll ask His Honor and Sister Dorothy Moore to present the award. Thank you. So we're telling Sister Moore, we're going to put you to work. We have 2 more to go. So our third recipient is Ray Anna Gugu of Wakaba. Another one. Miss Gugu is in the Bachelor of Education program at St. Francis Xavier University. Her plan is to continue on in the field of education with a desire to gain a master's in curriculum development to assist in the further creation of Mi'kmaq immersion programs. She would like to educate others about the significance of the Mi'kmaq language and how significant it is to the Mi'kmaq culture. She's volunteered her time coaching various sports events in her community and enjoys working with youth. So if I can ask Rayanna to come up, and His Honor and Sister Moore. Thank you. Our final recipient of the Sister Dorothy Moore Award is Jasmine Johnson of Millbrook and Butlerkek. Miss Johnson, little cheer, is currently enrolled in the Bachelor of Education program, and someone did just whisper in my ear, you notice all the St. Francis Xavier enrollment. So she's going to graduate in 2014. Her life has revolved around the idea of bettering the lives of Mi'kmaq people. She has coached young people in sports and often gives praise and advice to those who are willing to listen. She has grown up knowing that those younger than her are watching her every move and that it's her responsibility to defy the odds. Ms. Johnson strives to be that woman that people think of highly in terms of respect and academics. Jasmine Johnson, please come forward to accept your awards.
All the very best. In all your
The proclamation for Mi'kmaq History Month was signed on October 1st, 1993. In that proclamation, the Nova Scotia government and the Mi'kmaq recognized that the peace and friendship aspect of the treaties signed in the 1700s required public awareness of the history, values, and diversity of the cultures. Each year, a poster is developed to commemorate this important event. Eastern Woodland Print Communications has been involved in the production of the annual Mi'kmaq History Month poster since 1997. Over the course of the past 7 years, Gerald Glode has provided his artistic ability, cultural and traditional knowledge in conjunction with the Eastern Woodland staff and guided by the Mi'kmaq Treaty Day Working Committee to showcase Mi'kmaq heritage. This year's poster continues to highlight the natural world around us and the use of resources harvested from both the land and from wildlife. The poster features the use of porcupine quills in Mi'kmaq artwork, a long-standing tradition that involves complex patterns on clothing and moccasins and beautifully crafted quill boxes. Through his appreciation for fine art, respect for the natural bounty, and passion to learn more from his ancestors, Mr. Glode has captured the imaginations of young and old alike. It's his thirst for cultural knowledge that has helped him provide his own interpretation of traditional techniques and designs which have helped us all understand the past a little better. I would now call upon Grand Chief Ben Syliboy and Grand Captain Andale Denny to come forward and unveil the Mi'kmaq History Month poster. Thank you very much. I now would like to invite Chief Leroy Denny to introduce the Donald Marshall Senior Scholarship Award Fund winners. Chief Denny?
It's really hard seeing people yawning. It makes you yawn, so I must have yawned 20 times up there. Gula biska ya nawi ula bantar den tun pampu ge liya jigo. Excuse me, I sidu na ene go mawala go relatives se bola ma mi ge Indian car me. So we didn't have any guys in here singing the chant part. So only like 5 guys against 40, 50 girls. So I had to use my voice last night. We still won, yeah. Okay, these are the recipients for the Donald Marshall Senior Graduate Award. The first recipient of the Donald Marshall Senior Undergraduate Award is Rebecca Sirocco Paul from the Member 2 First Nation community. Mrs. Sirocco Paul is a student at the Cape Breton University a full-time mom, and a part-time librarian and a photographer. She plans to continue her studies with a focus on Aboriginal education. Her lifetime career goal is to contribute to the improvement of the educational system in her community. The biggest challenge for Rebecca was going back to school after working for 10 years. Loss of income and dealing with a learning disability made it a tough choice. After finding a success in an Indigenous woman and community program, she made the decision to go to school as a mature student and will graduate with a BA in Community Studies at the Cape Breton University this spring. She is most proud of her success as it demonstrates to her children and the other women that it's never too late to go back to school and to find success. Rebecca has shown that success can be achieved through hard work and never giving up and realizing there are many good people out there who are willing to help her and those in her situation. Rebecca volunteers as a fundraiser for sports teams in Member 2 and for the Children Wish Foundation, among others. She also set up a 4-H group in Member 2, volunteers at the community school, and also with the Wallace Bernard Memorial Hockey Tournament as a photographer. It is this drive to succeed as a student and as a parent that she feels will benefit her own children. Her experiences through the years have made her a stronger person who has a dream of someday becoming a teacher. Mrs. Sirocco Paul lives in Member 2 with her husband Leon and her 2 children. We are sure that with the support of her family and the rest of her extended family and her community, she will continue to find success and achieve her dream. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Sirocco Paul. All right. Leon must have took 30 pics. I counted, Leon. Must be. Okay. Our next recipient, the recipient of the Donald Marshall Senior Graduate Award, is Jane Francis from the Eskizoni First Nation community. Formerly Bodladek. I'll just throw it in there. Mrs. Francis has already achieved the goal of graduating from the Cape Breton University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 2009 with honors, and she plans to graduate in 2014 with a Bachelor of Social Work. In the future is a plan to do a Master of Social Work from Mount Laurier University. Her lifetime career goal is to contribute to the healing of our children and their families, especially from a traditional healing perspective. Many of the issues faced by the Mi'kmaq are a result of poverty and the historical abuse our Mi'kmaq people have faced. In her work, she focuses on facilitating a behavior modification program aimed at parents. Even with her heavy workload at school and work, Jane is able to find the time to continue some volunteer activities. She has volunteered on the Eskizoni Maui Aboy Madultig and Community Watch. And she helped develop with her husband, Sheldon and Bo Denny. She works with her husband at their Mac Mooney gym and to provide grappling training for the youth in Eskizoni. On a recent trip on her recent trip to Las Vegas for a grappling tournament, they took 9 youth and returned with 4 medals. Mrs. Francis lives in Eskasoni with her husband Sheldon and her 5 children. There have been many challenges for Jane during her long road toward success. But with the continuing support of her husband and her children and extended family, she'll be able to overcome those barriers and in the future to continue to help those youth and their families who are in stress. Put your hands together for Mrs. Jane Francis.
Two chiefs.
That's 2 chiefs. All right.
Thank you very much, Chief Denny. Well, we've reached the part of the program where we'd like to have the ceremonial exchanging of gifts. So if I could invite His Honor, Dougal MacDonald, and Grand Chief Ben Syliboy to come forward to present the gifts. Thank you.
Don't sit down, gentlemen.
Sounds great. Well, guests, we've come to the part of the ceremony where I'd like to call on Grand Chief Syliboy for a closing prayer.
Thank you. Name the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Have a good evening and a safe trip home. Walalio.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to today's award ceremony. Please feel free to help yourself. There are refreshments on the side and in the back. If I could ask folks just to stay, just to wait until His Honor exits the room. And we'd actually like to see if all award winners, after His Honor has gone, would mind coming up to the stage for a group picture. We'd love to get a group shot.